Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Burnt Brass Homestead channel. Today I took the day off to get caught up on some chores around the homestead and to get the garden back under control. The weeds have taken advantage of the rain and our lack of weeding. I got up early this morning to start the day, doing as much chores as possible. I wanted to start outside before it got too hot, but it is raining, so I am a bit delayed. Therefore, I will start my indoor tasks. I made English muffins a couple weeks ago and was very pleased with the outcome. However, this time I wanted to make dough that had been allowed to ferment a few days. English muffin dough is a bit on the sticky side, so you will need to add a little flour as you knead the dough, but try not to add too much flour. After kneading the dough a bit, it is shaped into a log and then cut into somewhat even pieces. Then I roll these pieces into a ball to remove creases in the dough. Then I flatten into a disc. From there, I round out the pieces and place on a baking sheet that contains cornmeal to prevent them from sticking. I like the idea of English muffins, naan, and other flatbreads for ease of cooking on top of wood stove, fire pit, or rocket stove if need be during a power outage. Then I cover the dough with a towel and place in the oven to allow it to rise for about an hour or so. Time to clean up and move on to the next task. This is ground beef from a local farmer. I am adding a breakfast seasoning blend and mixing it into the ground beef, after which I cover, refrigerate, and let sit for a couple hours. It is about 11 a.m. and the rain has stopped, so time to hydrate and continue my chores outside. This weed you see has several names: Canada thistle, California thistle, creeping thistle, field thistle, but it originated from Europe and likely made its way over here by mistake. I first saw this weed last year and it went to seed and spread before I took care of it. Now I have to work to remove the roots manually since I do not use any spray in the garden. This weed is extremely sharp. This area of the herb garden was cleared of sage that had taken over this bed. It was harvested and will be processed later today. After spending a couple hours clearing the thistle, this is what it now looks like. The thistle was blocking the vegetable seedlings. With the weeds removed, the seedlings should have a nice growth spurt with all the rain we have been getting, with more to come in the forecast. If we spend 20 minutes each day in the gardens, we should be able to control the weeds easily. I know this from experience. The issue is not allowing things to distract you or laziness to kick in. All of the older pepper plants are starting to produce fruit. The smaller pepper plants in the front of them will likely start producing in about 2 weeks or so. The eggplants are being eaten by something, but this happens every year, so they should be okay. I've even gotten some extra volunteer eggplants from last year's garden. These are the sweet potato slips that were planted a few weeks ago. They are starting to spread and are really looking good. It's about 1 p.m. and I am about to cook the English muffins. They have been covered in the oven and have doubled in size while I was out weeding the garden. The cast iron pan has been warming for about 5 minutes. I placed 4 of the English muffins in the pan and cover it to keep moisture and allow the English muffins to cook all the way through on low. Now, I took today off to do as much chores around the homestead as possible. Therefore, I'm not just going to sit around and wait for the English muffins to cook. I'm also doing dishes, I'm washing a load of clothes, and I'm actually going to clean out the refrigerator. So I'm just going to keep things moving. I want to get as much done as possible. Let me check the bottom. That's how the bottom looks so far, but I'm gonna let it cook a little longer. Okay, so the refrigerator is clean. The dishes are clean. So now the sink is free for me to wash, soak, and wash again the sage that I harvested from the garden. And then I'm gonna pick these off the stems as they're soaking. And the stems will be composted. The sage has been, the leaves have been removed from the stem and they're soaking in water. I made me a smoothie since I haven't eaten today. I really wanted to get outside once it stopped raining, so I just wanted to start with the chores because there was so much to do, and I'm only halfway done, and it's 2:42 right now. In addition to that, I haven't cleaned up yet. Look at the nooks and crannies on that English muffin. Okay, break time is over. Back to the chores. Next on the list to do is cook the breakfast patties I prepared earlier. Here I take a small amount of the seasoned ground beef and form it into patties. I am making them as thin as possible because they will shrink as they cook. I am also making a big enough circumference for them to somewhat fit the English muffins. Both the breakfast patties and the English muffins are finished, so now I'll move on to making the eggs. The eggs will be over hard eggs, meaning the yolk will be well done. Once the eggs are complete, I will form the English muffin sandwiches and freeze them. Each English muffin sandwich will get 1 slice of horseradish cheese, an egg, and 1 breakfast patty. Since my husband will be leaving out super early tomorrow morning, I'm going to leave 2 English muffins in the refrigerator for him to warm up in the toaster oven. This is my OXO salad spinner, OXO. I've had this for over 10 years. This is my go-to gadget during the summers because I like to eat a lot of salad. Pressing down on the inlet pump activates the spinner, thereby removing the excess water from the leaves. After removing the water, the sage will be placed in the dehydrator. I did a video on how to dry herbs without a dehydrator. I will post that at a later time. Because I have so much more to dehydrate, more sage, mint, and leafy vegetables, I'm going to take advantage of the gadgets I have to expedite the process. The dehydrator will run through the night for about 6 to 8 hours. In the meantime, I need to get dinner started. We're having dinner a little late this evening due to the chores, so I am going to go ahead and start dinner but will not record the process. In addition to making dinner, I made my husband a couple sandwiches to take with him to work for lunch. We ate dinner, but there is still some daylight left, so we move on to the next chore, which is cleaning the coop. I want to give the coop a good cleaning. Maintaining a clean coop is important to the flock. It was getting dark and the chickens were patiently waiting for me to finish cleaning the coop. Then they gave up and came in. However, this is how the coop looked after it's been cleaned. I had to use the flashlight to capture the finished product, so it may be a little grainy. To summarize, The purpose of this video is to give you a glimpse of the work that goes into a full day of homesteading or farming. Every day isn't like this, but many people watch YouTube videos of those homesteaders or off-gridders and want to jump right into the lifestyle without proper research. If you are not the type of person to roll up your sleeves and get things done, then this may not be the lifestyle for you. Either way, take your time, research, and start slow on whatever property you currently own. For instance, start a small garden, then grow to a bigger garden, then an even bigger garden, maybe add chickens, and then decide if it's time to move to a bigger plot of land. If you do not have any land at all, you can also volunteer at someone else's homestead or volunteer to help on a nearby farm. But note, you can do a lot on a 1/4 acre of land.